Well, hello and welcome back. It's me again. As promised, let's start with the painting stuff now. Let's do some prep works and let's go to the paint booth. But first off, I would like to show you some of the parts that are already painted. As you remember, in the last episode, we sent some parts to cleaning and powder coating, and now they are here. So I will show you them a little bit closer. So here we have swing arm. As I said, structured satin black, looking like this. All these areas that needed to be covered were covered. I removed the tapes and some screws. These parts were just not structured but satin black. Some of the rust marks were there. Now they look like new again. These parts actually were perfectly fine, but I just wanted to be them in the same finish as the swing arm. Structured black, so now they're looking like this. So everything perfect with these. I just have to remove, some of these screws and stuff, but otherwise it's okay. Now let's move to these parts here. I've gathered some of the parts on the ground. These are the parts that need to be painted to the main color of the bike. Here we have parts that don't need priming. I just need to sand them and paint them. So these are all in perfect condition basically. This was from some previous bike, perfect condition. This is from this bike, but nothing wrong with that. That's the new fuel tank, already primed. Need to sand it. These things need to be cleaned and sanded. This is brand new part because I didn't have it from my bike. I bought it. And these things have to be primed. This is brand new because it was broken before. Here we have some scratches. Here we have little scratch also. And some little marks here also. So these four parts need to be primed. And after priming, I can sand all them together and paint them to the main color of the bike. And in the other room, this is the prep room. So all these are going to be painted satin black. Obviously all these silver parts. I already cleaned them, so this is done, but now I have to sand them and cover all these, not these parts, like this part, for example, inside here, this tube and so on. The frame is going to be satin black also. It has some, marks here, otherwise it's in good condition. There's just some scratches. Anyway, this is going to be satin black also. These plastic parts, this is in good condition, but as you can see, here has been the sticker and it's visible now because of the sun. I'm going to paint it satin black. And this part actually is also in good condition, but this plastic is just looking a little bit, how to say, tired maybe, old. So I'm going to paint it satin black, and because this part is together with this, so I will paint this frame also satin black. I already have the new net for it, so I will remove the net and paint the plastic area. Let's start with the prep works. I will set up the camera and start sanding all these parts. So I'm going to sand all these parts. The point of this is to scratch the surface so that the new paint can stick onto the surface and grab from it basically. I'm using kind of industrial type of satin black paint from PPG. Throughout the years, this is the best solution that I've found for this type of parts. This paint will grab quite strongly from the surface and it has really good resistance to all kinds of environmental things like heat and UV light and so on. So that's really strong paint and really easy to apply also. But for this I have to sand all these parts and let's go. Oh, and after sanding I have to cover all those surfaces that need to be covered. Basically, for example, this part is the part that holds the hand. Compressor started working. Nice. Let's wait for it. If the sanding is done, then I have to cover these areas that need to be covered, as this part that holds the handlebar. So this area here needs to be clean and not painted. After all the sanding is done, then I'm going to mask all these areas. I will continue with the cool sanding process now. It's important to make sure that all the areas, even these that are hard to reach, need to be sanded in order to get better adhesion for the new paint. So with this part, I would like to point out here was a small kind of edge because of the mold, and I sanded the edge off here. Now it's like smooth. You see like this thing here. So I sanded it off. Another thing with this part, we also changed already these bushings because the rubber was kind of strange. This thing holds up the handlebar, so it was like really wobbly. Now we have new bushings, and well, yeah. Let's continue. So most of the parts are sanded. Now before moving to the frame, I thought I will quickly work on these because I need to prime them and prep them for priming. I tried to sand off these problems so then I can see that if I need to put some putty also or just sanding these enough. Orbital sander. It's attached to the vacuum cleaner basically behind the wall here. So as soon as I hit go, so as soon as I start it, then the cleaner goes to work also. So let's see. So now we don't have these scratches here anymore, and I will sand all the other parts, places here, and then I can prime it. Done. So the main problems are gone. Now I have to just sand other parts and again ready for priming. So here is a little scratch, and seems that here we have a little dent. So I will make a putty and let's fill them. So while this thing cures now, then I can continue with the frame. Frame is quite uncomfortable part to prep because it's trellis frame and needs extra attention to reach all the places. Also, I need to make sure that the frame number doesn't get any damage and will be clearly visible afterwards. So the frame is sanded now. Here were some scratches before, now we don't have them anymore. Well, basically this is almost ready for painting now. Just need to cover some areas and we can go to the paint booth. Now I'm going to prime these things and sand this thing and prime them all. So these things have cured now. After priming, now I have to sand them. For this, first step I use 600 grit dry paper, and after that 800 and 1000 grit wet paper. After wet sanding, the surfaces should be super smooth and perfect. And yeah, let's go. So here we had scratches before. As you can see, no marks of any scratches anymore. And after, like, this is just a rough sanding, and after wet sanding, all these areas will be perfect. So these things are now dry sanded and I will move to the wet sanding stage. But before that, I'm going to clean the engine covers so that I can sand all these things together. I use just this simple brush and the silicone remover to clean all these type of parts. It dissolves all the oils and dirt from the surfaces. So these are clean now. I also cleaned the other parts that anyway needed to be cleaned at some point. I don't have to do anything with these, they just go back on the bike. Now I'm going to sand these engine covers. So the wet sanding, it's kinda nasty process, old school process, but I still use it because I don't know, it works for me. I can be sure that all the surfaces will be perfect then for painting. Well, yeah, let's go. The point of it is that water keeps the sandpaper clean, and also it's better to see what's going on while sanding. As this is the last stage of sanding, then I need to make sure that all the surfaces are perfect and nicely prepped for the painting process. Some of the parts, like the engine covers, have many edges and hollow places that are hard to reach, but I just need more time and extra attention to make everything perfect. So I have all these silver parts here now. I have to mask them for painting, so let's start. Masking can be quite time-consuming process because the areas that need to be masked can be sometimes hard to reach. And it's important to make sure that all the edges have a clean cut, otherwise the end result will look unprofessional. As you can see, all the parts are masked now. Let's go and paint them. Finally, in the paint booth, and the first batch of parts are set up for the painting. This is the satin black batch of the parts. Before starting with the actual painting process, I clean all the parts again with the silicone remover. Now I use air and a special cloth to clean the parts from any dust particles that can be left there on the surfaces. So the black parts are now painted, they need to cure now, and after the curing process I can switch the parts in the paint booth. And say hello to the new main color of the bike. So, done. I applied 2.5 coats of paint and 2 coats of clear coat here. I will leave them like this to cure at the moment. Obviously these things will not stay like this. I will continue with them. Then you will see in the future how's the design going to look like. I hope you liked it. I tried to show you what the painting looks like. Probably from the video it seems kind of easy, but believe me, to get this clear coat on these motorcycle parts, it's quite a hustle. I will leave them here at the moment, and in the next episode, let's see how they all turned out and let's see what the future brings. Thank you all for watching and see you next time.